Hi,
Hello. Hi
how are
there.
you?
How are you?
Good.
I'm
I'm
good. I'm
Melanie.
good, thank you. Hi, I'm Lucas. Hello.
Hi. Yeah, I actually got to photograph one of your sets this year when you were on tour with The Plot and You.
Nice. Which city?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Nice. Oh, I love that place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was one of those places it was our third US tour, but I felt like I'd been to every big city, and
Yeah.
then that place was huge and I didn't know it existed, so it was
Yeah.
like quite crazy. So yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. So thank you.
And now you have another tour coming up with Thousand Below and Senses Fail. So what is your favorite thing about touring?
Oh man, I mean, it's tough because it's like making music is great, playing shows is great, meeting our fans is great. So, you know, it's just everything I love about this band, basically, just as much as possible. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's I genuinely don't think there's anything quite like touring in the world. Because if you're good at what you do and you feel at home on stage, you
Yeah.
get to do it for months and months at a time, and it's kind of crazy because I don't think any other job would let you do something you love every day and
Yeah.
explore the world as by accident for months at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any pre-show rituals?
No, not really. I stretch my legs because I do a lot of kicking. So I do lots of big jumps and big kicks and stuff on stage. So yeah, I always try to make sure my body's a little bit limber. I always warm up. I spend a couple hours kind of preparing myself for that. And then the only other thing that is sounds really stupid, but recently over the last few months, we always make sure that we touch each other's hands before the show. I don't even know if
Yeah.
the guys even notice that. I make sure I touch everybody's hands just before we go on, just to make sure that we're still people
Yeah.
behind it all. You know what I mean? We can still
Yeah.
be friends and still connect it, just before the madness ensues.
Yeah. So your music often defies easy categorization. You have a lot of different genres and styles mixed in. How do
Hmm.
you approach that when writing and recording music? Do you set out to make a certain kind of style?
Yeah, it perplexes me, to be honest, because we don't aim to be so. Yeah, because we are quite hard to categorize, really,
Yeah.
and I think we sometimes sound like a metalcore band, sometimes sound like a pop punk band, sometimes sound like the Killers, sometimes sound like Under Oath, and I think for us
Yeah.
it's like, it I don't think we really do it on purpose. I think we just sit down, write music, and then try and get as much flavor and spice from the whole rack. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
nothing is off the table. But I do think sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish we were more easy to categorize. Maybe more people would like our band if we were just a generic kind of band, I guess. But I think that's kind of the fun. I think the one thing that it does is it breeds a certain type of fan base because our fans don't really care about what's cool or what's trendy or genre snobbery. They just care
Mm,
about the connection. And
yeah.
and I think that's a brilliant thing to
Yeah.
have managed to foster. So.
I think you got something for everyone in there.
Yes, yeah, and that's the goal. So yeah.
So your latest album will be out on August 25th, The Noble Art of Self-Destruction. Can you talk about the creative process behind the album or if there's any themes or messages you want to convey?
Yeah, so I think the first thing to mention with this album was it was the first album written by Holding Absence, the full-time band, Like the last album we wrote, we were still working jobs part-time and we were still, maybe touring 1 month every 3 months. Whereas
Mhm.
now we tour, 8 months every 12, you know what I mean? So it's a far grander kind of um project, I guess, and
Yeah.
yeah, so that was definitely a very defining part of all this was, we would come home from 3 months of touring where we were inspired night after night, hearing songs by other bands that inspired us and slowly putting together all these things in our heads, and then we'd come home and spend 5 days a week writing these songs. So yeah, it was a very different process for sure, and I hope it feels like you know, a more comfortable, mature band wrote this record than the last one, which which is kind of true, whether it sounds like it or not, I guess. And then I guess the other thing, like you said about like concepts and kind
Yeah,
of themes and stuff. Yeah. So
yeah,
this album, The Noble Art of Self-Destruction, it's very much about finding, you know, who you are and almost kind of going through hardship but learning more about yourself through it, you know, like the
mm,
album was very much inspired by kintsugi, which is the Japanese art style of infusing glue with gold. So when something breaks, it actually becomes more valuable when you put it back together. And I think
yeah,
that was a really, really important jumping off point for us was, you know, with this album, I wanted to really psychoanalyze myself. And I kind of realized that I am who I am because of the things I've been through and the lessons I've learned because of that, you know?
yeah. That's great. I noticed the art style with the, the art for it, but I hadn't
Yeah,
recognized that it
yeah,
was
yeah.
that technique.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah,
that.
that is kintsugi, and all the artwork, you know, with the gold lines and stuff, that
Mm,
was done practically as well. You know, so
yeah.
we took a photo and we printed it out, and we ripped it up, we embossed it back together with gold, and then we took a photo of the that photo, if that makes sense. So yeah,
Yeah,
we really went through a lot of effort to make sure that it felt like that, if that makes sense, and it felt
yeah,
real as well. You know.
yeah. Do you have a favorite song or lyric from the upcoming album?
Oof. My favorite song is a song called Her Wings, which is just kind of like our My Chemical Romance song, really. I love the chord progression and the kind of creepy, dark kind of overtones of the music. But I think my favorite lyrics are the closing track, The Angel in the Marble, which is kind of symbolizes the whole kind of journey of the record. You know, it's inspired by Michelangelo's David and the idea that that was, you know, a beautiful piece of art that was created through destruction, you know, and
Yeah,
trying to almost find a metaphor for ourselves in that process, you know. But yeah, I think the my favorite lyric is the I am a puzzle, I am a painting, I am a work of art in the making. I think it
yeah,
sums up a lot of how intricate and how unique and how imperfect we are in our perfections, I suppose. So
yeah.
yeah.
It sounds like you get inspired a lot by art. Do you
Yes,
have a
for sure.
favorite
That was
artist?
mm, not funnily enough, not really. I'm a massive comic book nerd, so my favorite artists are all like comic book artists and stuff.
Yeah,
But no, more than anything, I think it was just trying to take inspiration from other things. And
yeah.
like, you know, when we were recording the album in Toronto, there is a sculptor called Rodin. And I saw one of his sculptures in person, which was really cool, and kind
Mhm.
of by accident as well. So I felt like that was quite symbolic. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What do you attribute most to your success?
Oof. I hate the word success because I hate the thought that we aren't just a bunch of dudes just lucky to just play songs for people, you know. But I think the thing that has gotten us to where we are, and this is something we had to be quite brutal with ourselves actually, was when we started the band, we wanted to be cool and we wanted to be edgy and subversive and you know and all these kind of things. And I think after a few years, we'd toured a lot and we waited after the shows to meet every single fan. You know, we would sell our own merch and, you know, I make sure to reply to everybody on Instagram and, you know, and I think one day we realized that our band is at its best when it is being real and connecting with people, you know, and
Mm,
like you said about the plethora of genres that we kind of
yeah.
transcend. It doesn't really matter what our music sounds like. I don't think. I just think as long as the message is pure and human and relatable, and as long as we continue to just let our fans know that they're friends first and then fans, you know, I think that's what's gotten us where we're at. And I'd like to think, you know, that you know we can keep doing what we're doing because of that. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So just the genuine connection and hard work.
Yeah, and relatability. I guess. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what have you been listening to lately?
What have I been listening to lately? I listen to a lot. I listen to a lot of music. So it's as does every musician in interviews. They'll tell you I listen to so much music. But the main artist I've been kind of going back and listening to at the moment is Queens of the Stone Age,
Yeah,
which is kind of random, but I absolutely love them. I think they're a really really consistent band, and
yeah,
I think that is what enticed me into them. Actually, is like they've got about 6 albums that are brilliant, rather than just two and then they fell off or whatever. So yeah,
yeah.
I'd say Queens of Stone Age, but at the moment, my favorite band is a band called Pale Dusk,
Mhm.
and they are a Japanese band, and they're just essentially just crazy, but like incredibly creative metalcore kind of band, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're brilliant. They're really brilliant. Yeah.
Okay. What else are you passionate about besides music? Um,
Um, yeah, I mean, I've recently realized, I guess because music's become such a full-time thing for me, I'm trying to find not so much trying to find other hobbies, but trying to almost let music breathe a little bit in my life. Whereas before it was the only thing I cared about. But I'm really big on comic books and just general nerd culture, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So like yeah, just anything like nerdy I love and will completely surround myself in. But I think the other thing that I've realized recently is since going to America and Australia and seeing the world as much as I have, like I'm very passionate about my family and where I'm from as well. We're
yeah,
from a place called Wales in the United Kingdom. It's the smallest country. We're from a very little village, and I think whenever I come home from a tour, I'm very proud to be where I'm from. So
yeah. That's great. Do you have a motto or good advice that you live by?
my mum always says life is for living. And I don't think she even realized she said it. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, she would just say it to me over the years and years. It was something that she would always say to me. And it's something that I really hold dear to my heart because I just think, you know, not everything needs to make sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, if your heart feels like something's worth doing, then
Yeah,
do it. And if you're scared, think about all the beautiful things on the other side of that fear and just go for it.
yeah. Okay. And the last question, is there anything else that you'd like to say to your fans that we haven't addressed?
No, man, just thank you as always. The new album's out soon and we're really, really proud of it. And
Mm.
the other thing to maybe shout out is we're touring pretty much the world, over the next 6 months. We're doing America with Senses Fail, we're doing Australia with Thornhill, and we're doing a headline tour in the UK and Europe. So if you're in any of those 3 territories, come to a show. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
cool.
Looking
Thank you
forward to
so
the
much.
album.
Thank you. Enjoy. It's lovely to
All
meet you.
right,
Have
take
a good
care.
day. Bye. Take care.